Have you ever felt like you're just stuck? You're running in place, changing your goals, trying new routines, but nothing really seems to click? Well, today we're going to dive into a seriously powerful tool designed to break that exact cycle, the personal life audit. It's a way to get unstuck and find some real clarity, and it all starts with one simple but profound idea.
And this, right here, really gets to the heart of it all. That feeling of being stuck, it's not some character flaw. It's not that you're lazy or you're not trying hard enough. So often, it's just a lack of an honest, systematic look at where you actually are right now.
So why does this happen? Well, it's usually because we're so busy changing the tactics, a new diet, a different productivity app, without ever stopping to diagnose the real underlying problem. It's kind of like trying to fix a rattling car engine by just turning up the radio. You're not fixing the issue, you're just ignoring it.
And the core issue, the thing causing that rattle, often comes down to this one concept, the alignment gap. Think of it as the space between the person you say you want to be and the person your actions show you are. That gap, that is the real source of frustration and that feeling of being stuck.
This is exactly why we need to shift our focus. We've got to move beyond just chasing motivation and start getting serious about measurement. See, a life audit isn't about some emotional rah-rah hype. It's a strategic review. You're stepping back and looking at your life like a system, because at the end of the day, you absolutely cannot improve what you don't measure.
And this really highlights the key difference, right? On one side, you've got a lot of vague self-help, which is mostly based on feelings and temporary motivation. But on the other side, you've got the life audit, a process that is strategic, that's data-driven, and that's based on cold, hard evidence from your own life. So how do we actually do this? Well, the audit is built around 6 fundamental areas of your life. We're going to systematically look at your health and energy, your career and skills, your finances, your relationships, your discipline and habits, and finally, your mental and emotional stability.
Now, here's the most important part of scoring yourself. You have to be brutally honest. Don't go by how you feel you're doing. Instead, ask yourself this. If a complete stranger looked only at the evidence, your calendar, your bank account, your screen time report, what score would they give you? This isn't about making you feel comfortable. It's about giving you clarity.
Okay, feeling a little overwhelmed by all this? Don't be. The whole process, believe it or not, can be broken down into a really simple 4-step guide. This is exactly how you turn all that raw, honest data into a real, concrete plan for moving forward.
So here's the roadmap. Step 1, you gather the data, the real truth. Step 2, you analyze that data to find those alignment gaps and any points of friction. Step 3, you build a simple scorecard to get it all organized. And Step 4, you focus your energy and you execute the plan. Simple as that.
All right, let's start with step 1, gathering the data. This means collecting hard proof, and honestly, the most powerful piece of evidence is always how you actually spend your time. A time audit is non-negotiable here, because your calendar tells the real story of your priorities, not just your good intentions.
And for a lot of people, this is the big whoa moment. When you actually map out a typical week, you might discover that a quarter of your time is going to social media and entertainment, while only a tiny sliver, maybe 8%, is going toward that learning and growth you say you value so much. Now, this isn't about judging yourself. It's just about awareness. This is your starting point.
Okay, next up is step 2, analyze. Now that you have all your data, you start looking for patterns. What is it that consistently gets in your way? We call that friction. Maybe it's a distracting environment. Maybe it's an unstructured schedule. The key here is to find the friction and fix that before you try to just muscle through with more willpower.
And here is that alignment gap in plain sight. You might say that your health is a 9 out of 10 priority for you, but the evidence, the data, shows you only worked out once this week. That's a 1 out of 10. Seeing that huge gap staring back at you in black and white, it's incredibly powerful. That is where the frustration is coming from.
So, what do you do with all this information? That brings us to step 3, building your life audit scorecard. This is the magic tool that takes all those findings and that feeling of being overwhelmed and boils it all down into a single, simple, strategic document.
Let's look at a quick example. For health, the score is a 4 out of 10. The evidence? No exercise routine. The main issue? There's no schedule for it. So the first fix is super concrete. Block 3 gym sessions in the calendar. Done. Same for finances, a score of 6. Evidence of a tiny savings rate. The issue is overspending on food. So the first fix is clear. Create a weekly budget.
You see how this process turns a vague wish like get healthier into a direct, actionable step you can take tomorrow?
And this leads us to the final and, honestly, the most critical step of all: execution. Now that you've identified all these things you want to improve, the big temptation is to try and fix everything at the same time. Let me tell you, that is the fastest way to get completely overwhelmed and just quit. Real progress comes from ruthless focus.
The rule is just so simple. Pick 3. That's it. No more. Choose the 3 areas with the lowest scores or the 3 that you know will have the biggest positive ripple effect on everything else. See, focus is what creates momentum, and it's momentum that creates real, lasting change.
So as we start to wrap this up, let's zoom out a little bit from the how-to to the bigger mindset. This audit isn't just a one-time thing you do. It's a tool that helps you shift from a life of just drifting along to a life of intentional design. And to help you get this right, let's just quickly go over some common mistakes you want to avoid. Don't be too generous with your scores. Use data, not just feelings. Please, don't try to fix everything at once. And for goodness sake, don't skip the time tracking. Listen to feedback from people you trust, and maybe most importantly, put your next audit on the calendar right now. This is a system, not a single event. When you boil it all down, this is the difference. Most people just hope things will get better. They drift, they're passive. But top performers, they don't hope, they review, they adjust, and they intentionally design the life they want to live. They advance on purpose.
And that's really the big takeaway for today. Winning, however you want to define that for yourself, it is never an accident. It's the result of a deliberate process. You audit where you are, you adjust your course based on real data, and then you advance with focus and with clarity.
So I'll just leave you with this one final question. If you were to actually sit down, get brutally honest, and do this for yourself right now, what do you think your first audit would reveal?